Your Excellency, two major developments have taken place in last few weeks. One is, of course, that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia military agreement. And of course, second one is that many European countries are supporting now the Palestinian statehood, okay, which is of course the contradictory to the Israeli perception. And how it is going to the military dynamics in Middle East.
Well, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have a very long history of cooperation. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Saudi Arabia which financed the Pakistani nuclear program. So this relationship has been going on for many years. Apparently, Saudi Arabia feels insecure and they want to promote the relationship with Pakistan. What we have to take into account is that in parallel to that process, Saudi Arabia also has been cooperating with the United States in the framework of CENTCOM to coordinate a lot of activities of defense of the skies of the Middle East. And this also manifested itself during the confrontations we had in the last 2 years, because many Arab countries were actually assisting CENTCOM to intercept attacks around the region. So I think that that's up to the Saudis, what they want to do. If they want to lean on security relationships with different countries, it's up to them.
Okay. If you go through that interview of the Pakistani defense minister, who has talked about that there may be a nuclear umbrella even if Saudi Arabia wants that. So how do you view that? That.
I don't know. It's difficult to judge. There are all kinds of statements. I don't know to what extent Saudi Arabia is interested in such an umbrella. It's just a statement.
Okay. So you're not reading too much out of that.
Well, I don't know what to read out of that. I'm not an expert on Pakistani issues.
Okay.
Again, this is a sovereign decision of Saudi Arabia.
Okay. And defense minister has spoken about a NATO-like, agreement also may be possible in the near future. So naturally, we all know that it is aiming at actually Israel.
Oh.
So
why
the development is taking place after Israel's attack, on Qatar.
Yeah, but people I think are reading too much into that. What Saudi Arabia does with Pakistan, they have been doing for many years. And the decision to take that probably was in preparations for many months. So to insinuate that just because of this strike against terrorists in Qatar, Saudi Arabia suddenly decided to do a defense relationship with Pakistan is actually ridiculous.
Yeah, in fact, that agreement, the process was going on for last 1 year. So it is not exactly Qatar-based or something like that. That is true.
Exactly.
Now coming to the second development, that is countries like Australia, countries like France. They are talking about now the Palestinian statehood.
Yeah.
Now, which was not the case even a few months back, right? Okay. Two major European countries like Germany and Italy are only supporting Israel at this moment, right? Okay. Now, how do you view this particular development?
We think it's very unfortunate. It came at a very bad timing when we were trying to push for a deal to actually end the war in Gaza. What we want to see is Hamas disbanded, returning of our hostages. So this declaration actually gave a huge backwind to Hamas. As a result of that, they actually toughened their lines in the negotiations. The greatest blow against Palestinian statehood happened on the 7th of October, when Hamas used their control of Gaza, which actually was acting as a state, and decided to attack Israel in such an atrocious and brutal way. That's how the whole Palestinian statehood was blown apart. Israel has been offering to the Palestinians a two-state solution for many years. In the year 2000, the year 2008, and the year 2010. And repeatedly, Palestinians have rejected it. So what Hamas wants to achieve is the destruction of Israel. And unfortunately, their rivals, Palestinian Authority, are dysfunctional, and the people don't support them. So those countries that chose this timing to promote Palestinian statehood, I think that are completely detached from reality. I think that any statehood according to international law, has to meet several requirements, like effective control of the ground, determined borders, etc., a monopoly on power. And unfortunately, all these things are not happening in the Palestinian case. And the question is how to, in a conducive way, create Palestinian self-rule. This is what we are trying to achieve now. After Hamas will be defeated in the Gaza Strip, what kind of Palestinian leadership you can have in the Gaza Strip that would be more conducive, more peace-loving, would accept Israel's existence and the right of the Jewish people for the state of their own, and stop preaching for Israel's destruction. This is the challenge that we have.
Right. Prime Minister has said already, official statement he has given, that it is a huge reward for the terrorism, actually, you know?
Right.
So is there any diplomatic efforts going on to make them understand that, listen, Palestinian statehood is not going to happen unless this Hamas is completely eliminated?
Well, first of all, I think that there is international consensus that Hamas has to go. But guess what? Who is going to enforce it?
Right.
So on the one hand, there is consensus both in the Arab world, in Europe, and in other places that Hamas has to relinquish power in Gaza. But nobody is willing to step to the plate. And even they are attacking Israel for actually trying to enforce an outcome that everybody wants.
Right.
Okay, so that's a very comfortable place to be. That you have a wish and you are wishing somebody else to do the job, and then you criticize them for doing it.
Right.
It's unacceptable.
Do you think that is a diplomatic fallout for Israel, that is the close allies are now pulling out?
India has interests in the Arab Gulf. It has interests with Israel. We can actually fulfill a lot of economic cooperation projects, trade, logistics, energy, infrastructure projects. And India has the tools to be a participant in that because it has the fastest growing economy in the world. It has multinational companies that are capable of executing projects. And so there's a huge interest to engage in that. And of course, we can do it more easily when the war is over.
Okay, in recent times we have seen that that India-Israel relationship is going new high. Your finance minister has come just a few days back. And if I can remember that a few months back there is a meeting between your prime minister and also the Indian officials in Israel also.
Yeah.
So it's a clear sign of strengthening the relationship. Now, my question is a little different. That is, post Operation Sindoor, right? Is there any sea change in relationship with India as far as the counter-terrorism is concerned?
Well, there's no doubt an increased interest to deepen the cooperation and to make it wider. So we are engaged in actually updating our defense or security agreement in order to try to include as many issues as possible that are related to counterterrorism, to joint production, and even to joint development of capabilities and solutions that will make more easy for us to deal with the mounting threats that are coming as a result of terrorism and the weapons that are getting into the hands of terrorists. So this is a very important dimension that we are going to pursue, and I think in the near future we're going to hear more news about that.
Okay.
Now, there are of course other verticals in the relations that are also very important. The entire food and agriculture nexus that is working very well through the Centers of Excellence. We are introducing this year new technologies into the Centers of Excellence in the field of drip irrigation and post-harvest technologies. But there are additional verticals that now we are introducing into the relationship. The ones that I mentioned are the classical ones. We are upgrading them. New dimension that was discussed during the visit of the finance minister was encouragement of Indian infrastructure companies to participate in international tenders in Israel. Because Israel is going to issue in the next 10 years $200 billion of infrastructure projects.
That's huge.
Yes, including the metro project for the greater Tel Aviv area. It's going to be a project of about 50 billion. So the first tenders, the pre-qualification for the first tenders are going to be issued next month. And we had a very big delegation coming from Israel that engaged with more than 10 big infrastructure companies here to see how we can adapt ourselves to get them to apply to the tenders. So this is going to add, I'm sure, a new dimension to the relations, because once these companies come and work in Israel, they are going to conduct multi-billion-dollar business, they're going to bring workers, capabilities, and their permanent presence in Israel also is going to create a lot of opportunities for business. So this is the number 3. Then there is the 4th vertical, and that is the high-tech, the joint R&D, cooperation between startups, mutual investments, and that's why we signed this mutual investment agreement.
Right.
But in addition to that, what we want to do is to streamline the financial transactions between India and Israel that so far have been somewhat cumbersome. So we have to establish an avenue that will make it easier to transfer money, both for individuals, like for example the 40,000 workers, Indian workers that are working in Israel, for the Israeli tourists that are coming here. I hope that the Bank of Israel will adopt the UPI. It will take some months, but I hope that we will do that.
That process is on?
Well,
at the last stage, or?
When the minister came, in his delegation, there was a representative of our central bank, and he conducted meetings with the Central Bank of India, the Federal Reserve Bank, and both here in Delhi and Mumbai, and they started discussing the modalities of how that can be achieved. In addition to that, he came with the head of our stock exchange, because there are a lot of institutional investors from Israel that are interested in purchasing more stocks in the Indian market. So we have to regulate that as well to see how to streamline, make it easier for investors, financial investors in Israel, to be involved in the Indian capital markets. So that is, when we pave the way by signing the agreements, by streamlining financial transactions, I think it will be more easy for high-tech companies to cooperate. And what we are seeing, also very interesting, is that there is a new trend of Indian investments in Israel as well. Because as you rise to compete in the global markets, you have more and more companies that are scouting for technologies in Israel in order to become more competitive in the global markets. And that's very important. So I'm very optimistic. This relationship is a very rich relationship. It has a huge potential. And now we are working to realize that potential.
Okay, just 3 related questions I want to ask here. First of all, what is the stage of that UPI? So can we expect that very soon UPI would be accepted in Israel? Number 1. Number 2, you are talking of the stock market. What kind of association and participation your companies are going to do in stock market? Is it only through FIIs? Or just investment, or what it is exactly, or some technological upgradation, what it is exactly. And third is that, as you know, that Prime Minister's pet project is, made in India. Right? Okay, so in made in India, how Israel is going to contribute?
Okay, great question. So let's start from the last one.
Right.
We are actually the only country that is implementing the Make in India policy. When it comes to defense procurement, because all our big industries are involved here already in joint ventures in different fields, like drones, missiles, surveillance equipment, you name it, autonomous vehicles. All of these projects are already taking place, and we are looking for more projects like that, okay? So that's on the Make in India side. Now, that's on the defense. On the civilian side, Israel is not a manufacturing hub. Israel is an innovation hub.
Right.
So what we want to do, and many companies are interested in doing, is actually to source here in India, to produce here in India. So when a startup has, for example, a hardware innovation, they are looking for countries like India to manufacture and grow globally. So it can happen either by a foreign direct investment, and therefore you need an investment agreement that will make them more confident to come and invest here. And another option is to do a joint venture. So these are things that we are looking at, and there is a huge potential for that. Now, your other 2 questions were about
stock market
the stock market. So here in Israel, the biggest players in the economy are the financial institutions, the banks and the insurance companies, those who hold all the pension funds of Israeli citizens. So they are looking at the world and they are saying, okay, India is the fastest growing market. We want to benefit from that. So far, they've been doing very few investments and it was done through American companies.
Oh, I
okay, because our stock exchanges didn't talk to each other.
Okay.
So the idea is that the stock exchanges, and this happened during the visit of the minister, they came and they met for the first time
So it's
to see
one-to-one kind of thing.
yes,
Okay.
how we can actually arrange that bureaucratically and financially, so the institutional investors could be actually more active in the Indian market and look at opportunities. They can come with two kinds of investments: either solid investments that are, for the pension funds, or also venture capital. There is a lot of venture capital in Israel that is looking for opportunities.
I mean, specifically in the startup sector.
Right. So they can come and do either FDI or to do it through the stock exchange. That was your second question. And the
Third question was that, can you expect that UPI would be...
Yeah. So we have a great interest for that to happen. We've been talking about this with our central bank. Fortunately, they agreed to come here and to start discussing it with the relevant authorities here. And we are hopeful that through this dialogue, we'll be able to do it, in the coming year. I cannot promise, it's up to them, but there is a lot of will to do it.
So things have been progressed in the right direction, you can say.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, see, there is another confusion in India relating to the Indian manpower in Israel.
Yeah.
There is a perception, I do not know whether it is wrong or right. People are joining there in IDF or something like that. I do not know, just if you can clarify it in a little bit.
Yeah, no,
it's not like that.
It's disinformation. Look, there is a lot of increase in Indian workforce in Israel because there is a lot of demand. Israel is also an economy that moves pretty fast.
Right.
We're both demographically growing about more than 1.5% per year, and we are also an economy that is becoming richer, and we lack working force, especially in the infrastructure sector. So we've been seeing a rise in the construction workers from India, especially those workers that have experience, that have worked previously in the Gulf. They can earn very good salaries in Israel, and they are all working in civilian projects. They are not involved in defense issues. They are not joining the IDF.
That is all basically
and they are very safe in Israel. And we conduct a dialogue with the Indian government about that, about their safety. There's also an effort, because there are two channels in which workers are going to Israel. There is the private sector channel, in which people are recruited through private companies. And then there is the public sector. There is an agency that was founded by the Indian government to recruit workers, to send them to Israel without the mediation of private companies. So that's a bit more challenging to do. Usually it's more effective with unskilled workers. And when it comes to skilled workers, usually the private sector companies in Israel prefer to work with a private sector company in India that will do the pre-screening, the training, and will give assurances that actually the people that they are sending have the right skills.
So it has nothing to do with the military operations or something like that. No way, right? Okay, but that's the perception I have seen. Even many journalists nurture that in India.
We are proud as Israelis to be able to defend ourselves by ourselves, and we are not asking any power or any foreign people
that you have
to
shown
defend
already.
us.
Right. Sir, two specific issues, that is the cyber security.
Yes.
I mean, we know the strength of cyber security, of Israel, and of course, the counter-terrorism. The security dynamics in this South Asia has been changed probably completely, after this Operation Sindoor. Why I'm saying so? Because that the Indian government has made it clear repeatedly that our doctrine has been changed. Any terror attack on India would be treated as a war. So the doctrine has been changed. So naturally, the cooperation between India and Israel, as per the counter-terrorism and cyber security, remains very crucial. Despite other areas, which you have already articulated. Can you be a little specific on this particular two areas?
Well, on counter-terrorism, I don't have much.
How Israel is helping India?
We are cooperating to meet the interests of our countries in creating capabilities that will give us solutions to deal with threats. Okay, and that's what we're doing. We're not getting into the details. These are, things that are better done when you don't talk about it.
Right.
Now, when it comes to cybersecurity, indeed, Israel is a powerhouse on cybersecurity. And there are many things that we are doing, not necessarily in the defense sector, in the civilian sector. there are a lot of things that can be done in order to create more robust capabilities when it comes to cyber defense, whether it be in the infrastructure sector, in the stock exchange, in the financial markets, or just for companies. And there are Israeli companies that have adapted themselves to the Indian market in order to supply mainly cyber labs and ways and means in order to prepare a cadre of people that is capable of elevating the standards of cyber without overpaying for it. One of the challenges is that our technology is usually expensive and we have to adapt it for the Indian market, which is a market that likes scalability and likes lower prices. So this is something that we are struggling with.
Okay, sir, now coming to this humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and as we were discussing, that is that UN report, which actually was very damaging, from Israeli perspective. How do you view all these things, that what is coming out as a news is true or exaggerated, or this is not the ground reality?
Yeah. Well, we know that there is a lot of suffering in Gaza as a result of this war. And the suffering emanates mainly because of the attack that Hamas did on 7th of October and the tactics that they are using. Human shields, hiding behind civilians, shooting from hospitals, disguising themselves as journalists and ambulance drivers, etc. However, what is also lamentable is that the UN system is very highly biased. And as Indians, you know it very well. You have a group of countries that have a numerical advantage in the UN. And they are appointing biased people to write these reports. So the last report that was written and released by the Human Rights Council was written by people like Navi Pillay, who is a very known criticizer of Israel. She was against Israel. 5 years ago, she already stated that she wants to sanction Israel. So they appoint all these people that are anti-Israel, and then they distort all the facts. They put criteria that are not plausible, and they blame Israel for the terrible crimes. This is actually the fact that people are buying into it is very unfortunate, and we are trying to fight it with facts, and we know, and we are actually sharing this information, that in the last few months we are actually supplying to Gaza food that accounts for 4,000 calories per person per day. That's more than double what people need to eat, and all the markets in Gaza are full. Okay, despite the fact that Hamas is sequestrating the aid. So we are acting and we are criticized. We don't want to have people suffering in the Gaza Strip.
Right.
We try to differentiate between the population and the terrorists, although a lot of the, lots of the parts of the population are actually supporting the terrorists. But we're not targeting them, we're targeting the terrorists. This effort is a continuous effort. There are a lot of attempts to distort the facts in order to blame Israel, and unfortunately some people are buying it.
But the things are very clear, that is, there is a crisis.
Of course, every war is a crisis. The crisis started on the 7th of October when we were attacked.
How Israel wants to keep a military balance between this military operation or the military objective and also the humanitarian assistance?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you how we do it. First of all, we only target military targets. Okay? Every target that we take action upon is being subject not only to legal counsel, but also to judicial revision, because we are a democratic country. When it comes to the humanitarian dimension, we are in touch with the humanitarian community, with international organizations. We are monitoring the situation all the time. We have a special team that monitors whatever enters into Gaza Strip in order to make sure that we supply what Gaza needs. In terms of water, for example, there are 4 projects of water that we have, make sure that are being built in only the last few months to supply drinking water to the population that now is concentrating in the south as a result of the hostilities in the north. We are making sure that enough food enters, that despite the fact that Hamas is trying to take over, we actually work with NGOs to make sure that they can supply directly to the population. So all these things are being done in order to deal with the situation to the extent that is actually uncomparable. No country in the past has done more than Israel is doing in order to make sure that the population of the enemy side is receiving humanitarian aid. And when you compare it to other conflicts in the region, like in Sudan or in Syria or in other places or in Yemen, people there are really starving to death because there the opponents are not taking care of the population on the other side.
Right. But there has been a complaint about that also, that Israel is barring humanitarian agencies, like even UN agencies to come inside Gaza. Is it true?
We are inviting every agency to come. Sometimes when people do not want to cooperate with security checks, or they are not engaging with us and they want to act unilaterally, then there might be a problem. But we have overcome that. At the end of the day, there is a lot of propaganda, and the propaganda is intended to limit our right to defend ourselves. Because people, especially Hamas, but also their accomplices, they want to create a situation in which the war ends and Hamas stays in power. We're not going to agree to that. So they are using this manipulation in order to divert attention of the public opinion in the world, and from time to time they succeed, unfortunately.
Sir, how many, tentatively, how many people are still in Gaza?
How many Palestinians live in Gaza?
Yeah, Gaza.
The estimates are about 2 million.
2 million still there.
Yeah.
They're still, But Israel is saying that, they have to vacate actually that place, right?
We are not saying that they have to vacate. What we are saying is that in every conflict, people have the right to flee. So when the Ukraine war started, 5 million people left Ukraine. When the Syria war started, 6 million Syrians left Syria. The Palestinians in Gaza are the only ones that are not being allowed to leave. And what President Trump said, what the Israeli government is saying, is that people have the right to flee to a safe haven until the war ends and until the place is reconstructed.
Right.
And for some reason, the Palestinians are being denied of that right.
So we can safely say that that Gaza would be under Israel, and it is not going to be handed over to the Palestinian Authority ever. Am I right?
No. Israel, you're not right. Israel is not interested in controlling the Gaza Strip. We left the Gaza Strip in 2005.
Right.
What we feel now, as a result of this terrible attack, this atrocious attack that killed our women, our children, families were burnt alive, that we cannot trust the Palestinians, that we cannot trust them, and therefore we have to be there to control the security situation. But we are interested in transferring power to a civilian authority that actually will engage with the daily life of Palestinians, and that eventually will create enough capacity to be in charge of security as well.
Right.
Because we don't want to stay there forever. And these are the things that we're talking with the international community, with the Americans and with others, to create a situation in which once Hamas has relinquished power in the Gaza Strip, we will be able to engage with them to create a better future for the Palestinians.
Right. And another thing is that this hostage crisis, which is very acute there. How you are moving towards that? Solve that hostage crisis.
Well, we, as you know, have been able to retrieve 206 hostages out of the 254. And
there are few now at this point.
There are about 50 are still there,
right,
about 20 alive.
Right.
And we were actually negotiating an agreement to get back half of them. Unfortunately, this negotiation was derailed because Hamas became more intransigent and didn't want to compromise. And as a result of that, we took a decision to expand our military campaign and to take the Gaza City. Now we are combining this military pressure with an attempt to get to a diplomatic solution that will bring back all the hostages at once. Because we cannot wait. Almost 2 years have passed.
Right.
We've been very, very cautious in the way that we operate in the Gaza Strip. We could have actually obliterated the Gaza Strip in 2 weeks. But we didn't do that because, first of all, we didn't want to kill the hostages, and we are taking care of the civilian population there. So although the price of the war is very dear and a lot of people have died, many more would have died if Israel would have been very cautious. So this is taking a very long time. It's urban warfare. There's a lot of infrastructure underground as well that Hamas has built for almost 30 years under the city itself. So this is taking time. But at the end of the day, we want to reach a situation in which Gaza will have a better future without Hamas.
Okay. Sir, the last attack on Qatar, the perception, Israeli perception is that wherever Hamas is there, we'll attack them.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Now, as I understand, that is, that was not that much successful because the news report is saying that is Hamas leaders are still there. They have not been eliminated. So, what objective actually Israel, served through that?
We served a very important objective, that the Hamas terrorist leaders know that they have nowhere to escape from their heinous crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, despite the fact that we agreed to negotiate with them because we wanted back the hostages,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that we are not going to go after them.
Right.
And the Qataris have to be very careful because
right.
they were presenting themselves
right.
as the honest broker, as having a noble role.
Mm-hmm.
But what we saw is that actually
mm-hmm.
they're not only backing Hamas leaders,
mm-hmm.
but they're also have created a tool
mm-hmm.
of propaganda that is helping Hamas through Al Jazeera and other channels like
right.
Hadath and other means of communication.
It's a proven fact, actually.
So they shouldn't be surprised that when they try to play this double game and cheat the international community as if they are playing a positive role, but in fact they are prolonging the war, but not putting pressure on Hamas. So what is the benefit of hosting them in Qatar if they are not capable of brokering a deal?
Right.
So they have to know that there is a limit to Israel's patience. There is a limit to what we can expect from a country that is saying that it wants to help, but actually is helping the terrorists. We didn't attack Qatar. We attacked the terrorists. And we're going to continue to attack the terrorists wherever they are, because that's the only way to defeat terrorism.
Irrespective of any country.
Well, we haven't said where we're going to attack and how we're going to attack. The terrorists should know that they will have to be on the escape, because the crimes that they have committed are unforgivable and they cannot be normalized in any way.
Right. And last question is that Iran related, we all know that it's nuclear complicity and all these things. That 12 days of war with Iran, do you think that Israel has been able to achieve its diplomatic goals through that and also military goal?
Absolutely. Yes,
right.
I think it was a
If
very
you can
successful.
elaborate it,
It was a very successful campaign because we did it only after we have left with no choice. When Iran attacked us directly, if you remember, Iran has decided to attack us directly twice with barrages of hundreds of missiles,
right.
including ballistic missiles and rockets. And on top of that, Iran was having a plan to annihilate the state of Israel by their military nuclear program and by building a huge arsenal of ballistic missiles that they would fire at once at Israel. So we've been able to remove these capabilities, and we did that while we prevented an escalation into regional war. And if you look at the situation now, Iranians are trying to go back to cooperation with the IAEA. It means that actually our action has restricted and has put limits to this abrasive attitude of the Iranians that were striving to become the hegemonic power in the region, not necessarily only to eliminate Israel, but to take over Mecca and Medina.
Right.
Okay, so now Iran is back in the box. They are very careful because they know that if they try to re-establish their military nuclear program, they are subject to another attack. And that is a very important achievement on the part of Israel.
Okay. Is there any possibility of another flashpoint with Iran?
Well, it depends on their attitude and their intentions. Unfortunately, Iran has sworn to eliminate the state of Israel. So we have to be very careful. Okay. We have to gather intelligence, and we have to be prepared for any scenario.
How do you view this, Islamic terrorism in the entire region, Middle East? which is a threat to Israel directly.
Yeah, it's a threat to the world.
You know,
we've seen this Islamic wave, radical Islamic
Right.
wave starting
I mean,
in the
Houthis,
70s.
Hezbollah,
They've, for example,
You know.
tried to derail the peace agreement between Israel and Egypt when they eliminated Sadat. 45 years ago.
Right.
They tried to eliminate the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians when they introduced the suicide attack. And then, following the Arab Spring in
Right.
2011, when many countries in the region actually deteriorated into chaos, all these forces came to the ground, and they are still out there. So, there was a coalition against ISIS. ISIS was defeated but not eliminated. Right? You have the Iranian radical regime that is throwing havoc in many areas of the region. Fortunately, Israel has been able to diminish their capabilities substantially, both in Lebanon, in Syria, and also in Tehran. But you still have the Houthis out there that are disturbing international trade and attacking Israel. And there are other Sunni radical forces like Hamas, like Palestinian Islamic Jihad, like different militias throughout the region, whether it be in sub-Saharan Africa or in the Levant. So I think the world has a huge challenge. And as Foreign Minister Jashankar has said, only this week in the UN, we have a problem with double standards. There cannot be double standards. You have to treat this fight against terrorism in a unified way, and the fact that the international community is not unified against terrorism and against radicalism is undermining this struggle and making it much harder for countries like Israel and India to deal with it.
Right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.